right, guys, welcome back. We're at WPPI 2012 in Las Vegas. Welcome back to Live.Digital Photography Cafe. You can, if you're looking at us online, go right down to the bottom. You'll see a little button that says Enter. Click that to win. There's a lot of great sponsored prizes that we're going to be giving away. $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 worth of prizes over the next 3 days.
Yes, and we are back with David Toby from Datacolor, and we're going to talk about the Spider 4, which is your new product.
Yes, well, new product line, really. The entire Spider family has been upgraded to Spider 4 status, so we have just released within the last month the new Spider 4 Express, Pro, and Elite, which are the 3 different levels of monitor calibration software. And of course, the goal of Spider 4 is to be more than just a monitor calibrator. So with that same device, you can calibrate not just LCDs, but we still support CRTs, unlike most other applications, plasmas, projectors, and because more and more photographers are interested in projecting their work either as a sales tool or as a marketing tool or just going to their photo club and displaying what they've shot. So projector calibration is a big issue. And on top of that, we now have the world's only iPad and iPhone calibration functions for the Spider. And so that's a really cool thing that we can maybe be able to take a look at here.
Yeah, iPad calibration I think is huge, especially today. A lot of photographers like myself, we use the iPad to go ahead and show our work. Let's say we're going to a bride or if we're going to a client or whatever it is, fashion. And it's so critical to have color right, especially let's say you're doing food photography. No one wants to eat a piece of meat that's blue, you know? It's got to be right. So when you're showing it on the iPad, you can have it calibrated. That's great. That's great.
Well, I've shown that to you, and you can certainly verify that basil is not basil green without calibration on the iPad.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So the extension on that's not out yet, of course, will be to move into the home theater calibration and video reference monitor calibration, which are also important things as photographers keep moving. From now on, you don't get to be a photographer unless you're a videographer on the side, it seems.
Sure, yeah, you're doing both.
Yeah, so that is the obvious next step in the Spider product line, is to cover those areas which we've covered in the past with previous generations. So that will be the thing that will fill this out. So the idea is that one Spider, many functions.
Nice. I like that. That's a tagline there.
Yeah, there you
so
go.
This is the Spider that you're referencing, right?
Yeah, this is
the
a
4.
Spider 4. It's the color is different just because we're trying to be green, and our way of being green is to make it black, because our previous product was chrome finished, and chrome plating is not the greenest process in the world. So so the form factor will look familiar to anybody who knows the Spider. And the answer is, what we've changed here is not on the outside so much as on the inside. We've gone for new filters with longer life and higher accuracy, more stability, more consistency. And we've gone with a new calibration technique which actually determines the screen type, because screen types are expanding at an infinite rate here, and what we decided to do was to actually start a library of screen types so that we could more accurately determine what screens were being measured and make tighter measurements of them.
So does this do that automatically? There's a reading on the screen itself, then determines, and then I guess loads up a profile in accordance?
It does it on 3 levels. We're trying to use the engineering belt and suspenders theory. The first level is it asks the monitor what it is, and if it's in the huge library of supported devices, then that's the end of the story. You won't hear about it. It will do it automatically. If, on the other hand, it doesn't recognize it, it'll bring up a couple of screens asking you for the make and the model, and then it'll ask you for the gamut size and the backlight type, which are the information that we really need. Now, the interesting thing is if you lie and tell it the wrong answer, or make a mistake and tell it the wrong answer, it pretty much always catches you. I've tried to tell it that it was a different gamut or a different backlight just to test it, and later on when it actually measures the screen, it says, you said it was such and such, but I think this is really so and so. So there seems to be a fairly good fail-safe system in there for this. So the idea is to make this as transparent to the end user as possible and simply give them more accurate results. And what we're seeing from that is that side-by-side screen matching, which has always been one of the great bugaboos of color management, is already improved to the point that the new feature we put in our software for side-by-side screen matching is something that most people don't actually need to use. So I'm a little disappointed we didn't get more testing of that, because everyone we sent these to said, no, my screen's already matched without using your special side-by-side matching technique. So that's one of the new.
So this is if you have two different monitors side by side, it's calibrating the two. Because in the studio we have three monitors, 27, but they're sometimes from different makers, different brands, and to get that calibration equal right across, and you can take an image from here, move it to the next is huge. Because for me, we're here and we're warmer, then all of a sudden here we're blue, and then over, and then you're thinking which is the one that we're actually ICC profiled to the printer that we're going to send it to. So to have that, everything being equal across the board, that's big.
Yeah, I have that same issue in my studio. I've got the Apple Cinema displays, and then I've got a less expensive monitor I kind of use for palettes and such.
Right.
But as soon as I drag an image from the Cinema over to the other monitor, it looks awful. Yeah, it's got to go back there.
Yeah, well, and of course the goal here is to, within the gamut of your monitors, we can't make a narrow gamut monitor show brilliant colors the same as a wide gamut monitor, but within the gamut of your monitors, we give you the tools to actually adjust the video corrections on the fly and see what you're doing in real time and compare screen to screen. So this is a wonderful opportunity to make that last bit of side-by-side correcting that just never was quite right before. So that's probably the best new feature within the Spyder 4 Elite software. Then at the end of our software, we've had for some time a monitor quality analysis suite, which we've extended and improved. And what that does is it tells you things about your monitor that we can't fix. For instance, uniformity. And the color accuracy. We run all 48 of the color patches from our Spyder Checker software. Those same colors, we can run them on your monitor, measure them, and see how accurately your monitor displays those colors. And then we'll give you a delta E readout, an average, a maximum, and a full bar graph showing you which colors your monitor reads accurately and which it does not. So it's all wonderful information, but it's not information you can do anything actively with. But it's something you can do a lot of things passively with.
Sure.
For instance, we now have all of this information can be loaded up to our website anonymously. And so over time we're building up now a huge database of models and makes and information about monitors, which means we'll end up with the world's largest monitor database. And so if you buy a monitor and you think you got a lemon, you can run the MQA suite on it. You can compare it to what a good one of that make and model looks like, and now you'll have this opportunity to complain to the manufacturer and say, mine doesn't do what they're supposed to do.
So what you're kind of saying is that the manufacturers absolutely hate you guys for doing.
Well, more and more, we're developing tools that are giving the end user leverage in that direction.
That's great. That's great.
With our LensCal tool, people now can go back to the lens manufacturer and say, look, the focus on my autofocus is not in the right plane. You need to do something for me. So this is the same deal here. You will have a little more leverage with your monitor manufacturer, but also you can use it as a shopping tool. When you go to buy a new monitor, you can say, in this price range of this size monitor, this is the uniformity, and so which of these has the best characteristics. You can also check your monitor over time. If you keep a baseline on it once a year. Yeah, you can use that as a guide to when you're really going to need to replace it. Because the two questions that I hear most often in my line of work are, what should I buy for a monitor? And I'd much rather send you to a website like this than give you my personal opinion of what's a good monitor, because that differs with people's uses. The other question I hear all the time is, how do I know when I should replace my monitor? And this should help solve that problem as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, monitors have a lifespan, and eventually they're going to fade and change in color that is beyond the point of correction. And then, it's time to kick it to the curb and get another one.
Well, and we knew with CRTs that there's this kind of half-life that was pretty obvious with the phosphors in them, and the electrode guns had a certain weakness that occurred over time, and we could predict that quite consistently. With LCDs, we're beginning to find interesting things. Even now that we've moved on, I mean, you knew when your fluorescent backlight blew because half your screen was dark. But with the LED backlights, while that doesn't happen anymore, there is a change and a dimming over time that is still occurring, and ironically, seems to be occurring at about the rate it did with CRTs.
Ironic, right?
Yeah. Or manufacturer planned.
Yeah, that's probably manufacturer.
Let's not start any conspiracy theories.
No, right, conspiracy.
They're going to be mad enough at me without that.
Building that database, right? Yeah. That's great.
But that's another thing that database may potentially do over time, is be able to show you which monitors hold up better over time as well. We haven't really factored that in yet, but there's no reason that couldn't be something we could characterize in the long run is just simply to see, of these two $500 monitors of the same size, one of them, 3 years in, didn't do so well. Now the problem is you can't go back and buy a 3-year-old monitor, but you do know something about the maker's technology that way. And
Right, you can actually give this data back to the manufacturers, maybe at a certain rate, cost, and they can actually improve their monitor over time, because how else are they going to get such great, accurate data from so many sources, right?
Yeah, we may actually have better data on manufacturers' displays than the manufacturers do, in which case my goal would be to share that with them willingly and openly in hopes of making monitors better for the end users, because it's the same as Apple having a different business model of who they charge than Google does. We're an end user company. We make our money on that end, so what we'd really rather do with the manufacturers is simply assist them in making improvements.
Making a better product, sure. Yeah.
So if they would like to find out more about the Spider 4 and the company itself, where's the best place for them to go?
Well, we try to keep a very updated set of videos and information on all our products on the Datacolor website. So all you really need to be able to do is spell Datacolor, not in British, but in American, no U, and you can get to the Datacolor.com website. The photographic side of the Datacolor site has videos, product information, and various other materials. The calibration website will come up under a different URL, but we'll certainly have information about that on our site when it's available, so that people will be able to go there as well.
Perfect.
Great. All right. Thanks, David, for stopping by.
Thank you so much.